Welcome to the Disability Representation, Employment and Accessibility Mission, or DREAM, Network launch. My name is Skye Kakoschke-Moore. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Children and Young People with Disability Australia, and my pronouns are she, her. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we're joining today. For me, that's the lands of the Kaurna people here in Adelaide. And I pay my respects to elders past and present and acknowledge this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. A note for some housekeeping matters. We will be recording today's event to be hosted on the Dream Network website afterwards, as well as for safety and wellbeing reasons. And a few reminders for us all. You can turn your captions on by clicking on More on the Teams box, Language and Speech, and then turn on live captions. You can also pin the interpreter if you require, and you can change your view with the View button to highlight the current speaker. But today, the current person speaking will always be spotlighted in this webinar. We do have tech support available, so please send a message in the chat if you have any tech issues and require support. We also have a safety and wellbeing officer, Sonia. Her details will be put in the chat. So if you have any concerns about safety for yourself or other attendees, you can contact Sonia via phone call or text using her mobile number during today's session and for 1 hour afterwards. Today, we're really privileged to be launching this Dream Employment Network with you, and shortly we'll be hearing from the Honourable Amanda Rishworth MP, Minister for Social Services. We'll also hear from Jason McCurry, CYDA's Senior Youth Programs Coordinator, as well as a panel of young people and employers who've been involved in the co-design of this project, where we'll be able to ask them questions and hear some answers about their involvement in the work to date and what you might be able to expect from being a member of the Dream Employment Network. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce to you the Honourable Amanda Rishworth MP. Now, Amanda was elected to the Federal Parliament as member for Kingston in Adelaide's southern suburbs in 2007. Before entering politics, she practiced as a psychologist, working with general practitioners in the delivery of mental health care to the community, and served as Federal President of Young Labor. Amanda's diverse portfolio encompasses issues such as women's safety, social security, delivering on an early years strategy for children aged 0 to 5, providing support for pensioners, improving the lives of Australians living with disability, and tackling the harm caused by online wagering. Amanda is passionate about improving the lives of all people living in Australia and contributing towards a more inclusive and equitable society, especially for people with disabilities so they can participate and pursue opportunities they deserve. She's particularly committed to progressing disability employment outcomes and supporting people with disability to build their careers. Welcome, Minister Rishworth. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, and it's so wonderful to join all of you today. I'm joining from the lands of the Ngunnawal people and pay my respect to elders past and present. And now, for those, I'll do a description of myself. I have curly dark hair and glasses and probably pale skin. I like to consider myself quite slim, but I don't think that's a fact. So anyway, I would like to say that it's really wonderful to join you for this CYDA's Dream Employment Network launch, because this is a really important Australian government initiative which can't come soon enough. For me, the benefits of starting to break down some of the perceptions about young people with disability, which are the barriers themselves from employers or other organisations, is so critical to the heart of this program. But for me, some of the amazing leadership I saw recently is when I led a delegation made up of particularly young people to the 16th Convention of the United Nations Conference on the Rights of People with Disabilities. And it was by far the largest national delegation of young people. And what I heard there from young people attending was the absolute desire for young people with disabilities to grow in their professional expertise and their leadership skills. But the truth of the matter there is, when I was observing, is that young people were not, while their desire was talking about being leaders in the future, they were actually being leaders right there and then. And that's what's so impressive when we talk about the opportunity of what young people can give, whether that's in employment or in other leadership capacities, is that they have so much to offer right now. And I think what this program is so important is making sure not only that young people get a chance to get their foot in the door, whether it's employment or other leadership opportunities, but really to smash down some of the perceptions that act as barriers for Australians living with disability. And this Dream Employment Network is part of that. So I think what has been also so impressive about the Dream Employment Network is it was co-designed by groups of employers and young people with disability from around Australia. And I would like to thank and applaud all the time the effort, the passion and commitment that everyone has poured into this program. And I'd like to thank the employers who have already got involved and committed to the project and to supporting leadership opportunities for young people with disability. Because it's not just about employment opportunities, it's about career progression and enjoying your job, enjoying your employment, thriving and doing something that you love. And that's what's so critically important about this program, is that it's not just a job, but it is about forging a career. Now, the Disability Representative Employment and Accessibility Mission, beautifully abbreviated to DREAM Network, will help young Australians with disability to follow their employment dreams. And it will help them connect with employers, build skills, pursue their career goals, and step into leadership roles with confidence. And importantly, it brings both sides of the employment equation together, not just young people with a disability, but it also brings employers as well. Because it's no good if we're just focusing on boosting skills and confidence of young people, if employers are not providing the pathway to meaningful work and careers. We must ensure we're supporting employers to create inclusive workplaces, because that's actually how employers get the significant untapped potential of young Australians living with disability. It drives a creative and productive workplaces. So the deep collaboration between employers and young people with disability is what makes this a remarkable project. And it's why I'm really proud to back the Dream Network by providing children and young people with Disability Australia with over $797,000 to make it a success. Because programs like this are perfectly aligned with Australia's disability strategy. Because when we hear about disability, often the focus is on the NDIS and the supports that go along with that. And this is, of course, an incredibly important program and incredibly important in supporting the lives of people with disability. But it's not the whole story if we're going to make an inclusive Australia, one in which people with disability can thrive. If we're going to achieve that vision, we have to make society more inclusive. And that includes not only workplaces, but it includes transport, it includes education, it includes our health system. It includes all areas of community, of social involvement and social enjoyment. And so that's what Australia's disability strategy is all about. It's about all governments working together to create a more inclusive society and community. But of course, one of the key areas in Australia's disability strategy is the area of more inclusive employment opportunities for people living with disability. Now, the Dream Network is one piece of wider reforms the government is making so that Australia as a whole can benefit from greater inclusion. Everyone here knows that just under half of the 2.1 million working age Australians with disability are actively employed. And this figure has stayed largely the same for the past decade. We need to shift the dial, and the Dream Network is part of the ambitious reform work our government is doing. We're introducing improvements to existing employment systems, and this includes the supported employment sector as well as disability employment services. When I became minister, I couldn't believe that our disability employment services did not get rated on the person's experience using that service. It wasn't rated on how someone with a disability was supported and how they perceived the quality of service. And that is a change I've immediately made to ensure that there is a quality framework now in place that takes the views of people with disability using the Disability Employment Service into their overall assessment. We're also partnering with industry to trial innovative ways of connecting people with disability with jobs and careers. And of course, pathways to careers and leadership positions are so important across a variety of industries and roles. And one of the areas we've been focusing on is an area that probably hasn't included people with disability as much as it could. And that's the tourism and visitor economy. And of course, we also want to support other employment and leadership programs like this network. Because if we bring business and people with disability to get together, to listen to each other, to hear each other, the challenges of more inclusive workplaces will not seem as big an issue as they might if the conversation and the dialogue hasn't been had. And I really want to recognise some of those businesses and employers that are at the forefront. When I hear stories like asking employees, what is the best way to communicate with you? And how that question breaks down the barriers in so many workplaces and allows more effective, productive inclusion. I really get struck with, in some ways, how simple this issue is to solve. So the benefits of bringing employees, employers and community together is critical. So I am very optimistic that this program will help others achieve their dream careers, their dream roles, but importantly, ensure that businesses and employers are not missing out on the talent, skills and strengths that young people, particularly with disability, can bring to their business. By taking the time to understand the needs and make appropriate adjustments in response will benefit everyone. So I look forward to seeing the results of this program and really look forward to your productive discussions and panel work today. Thank you for having me.
Skye speaking. Thank you so much, Minister Rishworth. We are really thrilled that you were able to join us today, but not only that you have really clearly articulated your government's belief in the leadership that exists within the children and young people with disability community. But not only that, you go above recognising it through supporting projects like the Dream Employment Network and the involvement of young people with disability at the United Nations. So thank you very much. We are grateful that you're with us. We know it's a sitting week, and so we hope that time allows for you to stay until we begin our question and answer session. But before we do that, I have the distinct honour of introducing to you all Jason McCurry, who is the Senior Youth Programs Manager at CYDA. Throughout his career, Jason has worked in diversity and inclusion, disability advocacy, sports and events management across different industries, including not-for-profit, sports, local government, and higher education and agency. He has lived experience of disability, having lived with Tourette's syndrome, obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, and anxiety since a young age. He has been a member of the Youth Action Team at CYDA since 2020 and is currently in the role of Senior Youth Programs Coordinator, where one of his key responsibilities is leading this Dream Employment Network. Jace will now give us a detailed rundown of what the Dream Network is and what you can expect to get access to through being a member as a young person with disability or as an employer. Over to you, Jace.
Thanks, Skye. Hi, everyone. As Skye said, my name is Jason McCurry. I'm the Senior Youth Programs Coordinator at CYDA, Children and Young People with Disability Australia, and I use he, him pronouns. It's great to have so many here today. I think we have over 80 or 90 in the room, which is great to see the interest so far. But before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people as the traditional owners of the lands that I'm calling from this morning, and pay my deep respects to their elders, past and present. This was and always will be Aboriginal land. As a visual description of myself, I have short brown hair, a short brown beard, and I'm wearing a light blue button-up shirt with a navy blue blazer. As I said, it's great to see so many people in the room today, a combination of young people, employers, stakeholders, and government staff here to officially launch the network. We really appreciate your attendance, your interest, and your support. As the project lead of Dream, I'm keen to provide an overview of the network, how it was co-designed and developed, what you can expect from the network as a member, and the reasons why it is so important. So just to go back to the start, the Dream Network is funded by the Disability Youth Leadership Grant in alignment with the Australia's Disability Strategy 2021 through to 2031. And it's great to have the Minister for Social Services, the Hon Amanda Rishworth MP, and other government staff here today to celebrate the launch. CYDA has done policy and advocacy work in the scope of disability youth employment for years now. As a lot of you here know, we know the alarming statistics around unemployment rates, unfair and inequitable wages, and discrimination rates for people with disability in the workplace, some of which the Minister referred to earlier today. And I think that's why we are all here today, to celebrate the launch of this network, because this network, in line with the strategy, can hopefully work towards addressing some of the barriers and issues that young people with disability face in getting meaningful and equitable employment, improve their experiences once they're employed within the workplace, and also increase their youth leadership and development skills. The Dream Network is a pilot program that will run from September 2023 until June 2024, so a 9-month delivery. The network will support young people with disability in their career and aspirations of leadership positions and employment. The network will work with both young people with disability and employers to increase opportunities for professional growth and development and employment outcomes. And the reason we're working with both young people and employers is because previous programs and initiatives have worked in isolation of improving skills of different groups of people, but we really wanted to combine that, and that's what this grant is all about. And I'll talk about the co-design process now. The Dream Network has been co-designed by 3 groups of young people with disability and 1 group of employers. In total, this consisted of 27 young people with disability and 14 employees across Australia. These 4 groups focused on topics such as events, networking, resources, diversity and intersectionality, and employer engagement. We were really excited to see the large interest in designing this network and the insights, lived experiences, and expertise shared and received from both young people and employers, and that's allowed us to develop a really high quality and practical network. A massive thank you and shout out to all the young people with disability and employers who are involved in designing the network. This would have not been possible without your involvement, and some of you are here today as attendees and some of you are here today as speakers on the panel, and we look forward to hearing from you in the next 5 minutes. Along with the co-design groups, we've also been engaging with a range of different stakeholders, organisations and young people with disability across Australia through our project governance group. We thank the project governance group for their time, insights and expertise, and we encourage attendees today to check out more details about the co-design groups and project governance group on our website. There's links to all their organisation on there now, and I'll just ask our chat moderators, David and Sonia, to kindly post a link to the website in the chat. So obviously this is a Dream launch today, and in exciting news, our website is now officially live. We encourage you all to visit the website and check out the information, resources and events available, and to become a member, which is free for both young people with disability and employers. You can visit the website directly on www.dreamnetwork.org.au or by navigating through CYDA's website on CYDA.org.au. Members of the Dream Network can attend free online networking events and workshops, have access to a wide range of written resources that have been co-designed to support both young people and employers, and receive a monthly newsletter with updates and links to future created resources. For employers, the network is a unique opportunity to learn about reasonable adjustments, find out how to access funding and support to make your workplace more accessible, get tips on how to support young people with disability to thrive in the workplace, and be introduced to a diverse network of young people who are keen to work and learn and build their leadership skills. For young people with disability, this is an opportunity to identify what kinds of adjustments will work for you, find out what your access needs are and developing confidence to communicate your access needs, learn about your rights in the workplace, as well as your obligations as employees, and be introduced to a wide range of inclusive employers across a range of different industries, whether that be as mentors, professional networks, or future employers. As I mentioned, membership applications are now available through the Dream Network website, and membership is free for both young people with disability and employers. We encourage you to check out the website and memberships, and if you have any questions today or at any point in time, feel free to contact myself and the Dream project team at CYDA on youthactionteam@cyda.org.au or via our phone number 03 9417 1025. And I'll kindly ask David and Sonia to put those details in the chat as well. So that's a little bit about what the program is and how it was developed. And where we're heading is the first 3 resources that have been developed following the co-design process are focused on reasonable adjustments, discrimination at work, and support to strategies available, and talking about access needs, All of these resources are now available on our website in easy read formats and plain language formats, and all future written documents will also be translated into easy read to cater for a wide range of access needs in the community. Following today's launch, the next 3 upcoming events of the network will focus on the topics of disclosure of disability, why, how, and when, how to have open and respectful conversations about your access needs and disability, and breaking down barriers of stigmas and stereotypes to create supportive and thriving workplace environments. Along with hosting events that focus on specific topics identified throughout the co-design process, we'll also be hosting a number of leadership development skill sessions for young people, facilitated group networking sessions between young people and employers, and also hosting some community of practice events for employers to network, meet one another, and chat through different ideas and issues that they're currently facing. We want these to be genuine intention. We want people to come to these events with genuine intentions to improve their inclusive practices, but also not to be, a big theme that's come up is this fear of getting it wrong or fear of saying something wrong. So we really want to create these open spaces for people to come, ask questions in meaningful ways and learn together. So we're really keen to link in young people and employers and solve these employment issues together. Some events will be for young people with disability, some will be for employers, and some will be targeted towards both audiences. Once you're a member of the network, you can register to attend as many events as you like for free, and we'll be releasing more events and resources throughout the 9-month delivery, and we hope to see you at an event soon. As resources and events are released, we'll notify you in monthly emails and direct you to the most up-to-date resources and events. I hope that gives a good insight into how the Dream Network was developed and what you'll have access to as a member if you get involved. To finish, I'd again like to shout out to the CYDA team and the Department of Social Services team at the DSS and all of the different stakeholders involved in the co-design process. It's been a great project to be a part of, and one that is really going in a meaningful direction, and we hope to see a lot of change and society's attitudes change because of it. Thank you for listening today. We hope to see you at another Dream event soon, and I'll hand back to Skye to introduce our Q&A panel.
Skye speaking. Thank you, Jason. Minister Rishworth, I understand you may be called away now, so we just wanted to say thank you once again for taking the time to be with us today and wish you all the best for the rest of this sitting week. Bye. Thank you, Jace, for providing that fantastic overview about how we've arrived to where we are today and what young people and employers can expect by joining our Dream Employment Network. We are now going to move to our question and answer session with panel members who have been involved with the co-design of our Dream Employment Network. I'm going to provide an introduction to each panel member with a brief bio, and we'll then open up to some questions, including a question Minister Rishworth has provided to us. So firstly, I'd like to introduce Ashley Keating. Ashley is a youth disability advocate based in Canberra who embarked on her journey in disability advocacy while serving as a primary school teacher's aide. Progressing from this role, Ashley transitioned into impactful direct advocacy. Her voice and experiences as an autistic individual navigating education and professional life have garnered attention from media outlets, including The Guardian and the ABC. Furthermore, she contributed as a delegate from Australia's civil society during the 2023 Conference of State Parties at the United Nations in New York. Welcome, Ashley. We're also privileged to be joined by Dr. Maria Golubovskaya, PhD, who's a lecturer at Griffith University. Maria recently completed her PhD dissertation on the topic of adolescent worker experiences, insights into service work through the voice of youth. She's passionate about giving voice to young people and thrives on building connections between academia, industry, and policymakers. Maria presented expert testimony to the National Youth Commission in 2019 and now works in partnership with the Commonwealth Government, bridging the gap between research and policy on topics including youth employment and hospitality and tourism workforce. We're also joined on our panel by Anna Sulit, Talent and Acquisition Specialist at Whitehorse City. With a career spanning more than 2 decades, Anna is a visionary talent, recruitment, and CX professional. Her journey has taken her across 3 continents, working with a diverse range of industries that include manufacturing and industrial, tech startups, transport and infrastructure, resources, energy and renewables, as well as the public sector, finance, and Markhams. Anna's passion lies in delivering an unparalleled candidate experience, making every applicant's journey through the recruitment process a memorable and meaningful one. She understands the process itself can be a pivotal moment in a candidate's career, from support creating their CV to empowering them to authentically represent themselves during interviews and mentoring throughout the recruitment process. She strives to make the end-to-end journey exceptional. Our panel is also joined by Dylan McBurney, a youth trainee at Children and Young People with Disability Australia. They bring their lived experience of being transgender and disabled to their work with us, as well as their perspective as a young person. Outside of CYDA, Dylan studies at RMIT and stage manages and produces independent theatre. Our final panel member is Georgia Ferrari, who's also a youth trainee here at CYDA, who commenced with us earlier this year. Alongside completing a Certificate 4 in Community Service as part of their traineeship, they are also studying a double degree in Psychology and Arts. Georgia is especially interested in the policy and research side of educational reform due to their experience in the educational system as an autistic person with ADHD. I will also be on the panel, but my preference is that the questions that we receive are directed to those who have been directly involved with the co-design of the project. And so you'll see me defer questions to them, unless, of course, anyone would like me to answer directly. So the Minister has provided us with the following question, even though she wasn't able to stay for this part of the ceremonial proceedings today. So the Minister has said, CYDA has some great interest from employers to be involved in the DREAM network, including in its design. But we still hear some employers around Australia are afraid of getting it wrong when employing people with disability. What can we do to support employers to be more confident and increase their employment of young people with disability? I think this question could really be answered by all members of the panel. So I might go to Anna first to kick us off. Anna, over to you.
Thanks so much, Skye. I think we've already started with the creation of the Dream Employment Network. I think that's really important. The other really key piece is to have a forum where both employers and young people with disability can come together. I think that's one of the most unique parts. And I think the basis, hopefully, of success here it's very difficult to be able to know what another group is thinking if that group is not involved in the discussion and the topics, and so that's really key. Beyond that, it then becomes about, I'm going to sound really cheesy here, but it then becomes a real view of how each individual person is open and brave to have those discussions, and also open and brave to hear about those topics. There are some challenging and difficult conversations to be had, and I think you need hand in hand bravery and openness to be able to say the things that you want to say that can be emotional, but also to hear some of those things too. And I think if we can move the dial, that some of that's been discussed during some of the co-designing, then I think there's real hope that there's some significant impact that can be made through this network, but that will then filter out throughout, where other people are meeting and having discussions and taking these really important topics.
Skye speaking. Thank you, Anna. Thanks for reflecting on the importance of being able to have really open and frank conversations as a way of really supporting employers and employees to really recognise the leadership that can be demonstrated in the workplace by both. We've heard from an employer. I would love to hear from a young person about the same question. Ashley, can I go to you now? Can you tell us, what do you say when you hear that employers are afraid of getting it wrong? What can we do to improve their confidence about employing young people with disability?
Thanks for that, Skye. Well, when I first hear that, there's plenty of solutions that come into my head, but unfortunately we don't have time for a full-blown discussion, so I think I'm just going to really highlight some real key points that come to mind for me, and I think the main one obviously being is giving organisations such as CYDA the ability to be able to run things like this, not to go fully into my own personal experience, but from my experience, there is a major gap in disability employment services due to the way they're currently structured. So having something like CYDA, being able to have a support system that's free for everyone that has a disability and is young, obviously, is an absolute dream, and no pun intended. And I'm really grateful to be a part of something like this. And I guess as well, something for me, which I think has been touched on a little bit as well, is I feel like, and I hope the Dream Network will probably expand on this a little bit further, is I guess producing content for employers to realise that not every disability fits a certain stereotype. To use my own experience, as was mentioned in my bio, I am autistic. It's quite frustrating as an individual who is not big on working in IT and in STEM places, that because of stereotypes that are out there, that tends to be the career choice, and the career support services are in those fields for autistic and neurodiverse people such as myself. But I know I would hate to work in IT or anything like that. No offense to anyone who might work it, but it's not for me. And I'm not the only autistic person who thinks this way. And so I think having services like Dream, where it can bridge the gap between the young person with a disability and employers, is going to be really helpful in that area.
Skye speaking. Thank you, Ashley. Those are really significant reflections about disability not being the same experience across all young people, and the need for employers to keep a really open mind and make sure that they may be challenging some of the inherent biases they might not realise they have, just because of the type of disability that they may hear about amongst their employees. I'm now going to move on to another question, which I would love to hear responses from Maria and from Georgia. So we'll go to Maria first. What was being part of the co-design process like through the Dream Employment Network?
Thank you, Skye. I think it was a deeply reflective, developmental, and a very rewarding process personally for me. It allowed to reflect on some big challenges, big barriers, but also see what the young people identified as opportunities and have both voices brought to the table. And that was powerful, I think, in itself. I felt being in a very safe space, surrounded by like-minded professionals and people who all wish for the same, for a more inclusive, safe, and a better quality future for the young people. Perhaps even liberating in many ways that conversation was. So it was powerful to recognize that there is no silver bullet, one easy solution, but realizing the importance of having those open conversations, and as a result, feeling more equipped, supported in having those discussions, and comfortable to take then that knowledge and share the insights, and maybe even lead some of these conversations yourself with others in the workplaces. And I was reminded, if anything, that change doesn't happen by itself. It takes a very careful, systematic, and collaborative process that takes many iterations and relies on that continuous loop of feedback to lead the way and build the pathway in a meaningful and mindful way. So thank you.
Skye speaking. Thank you, Maria. I love that change doesn't happen by itself. And I think it's great to hear your experience with co-design has demonstrated just what a difference that process can make to really ensuring that a program like the Dream Employment Network is meeting the needs of employers with disability as well as young people, so that we can go through that change process together. Georgia, over to you now. What was it like for you as a young person to be part of the co-design process?
Georgia speaking. I think mainly it was very inspiring, especially witnessing co-design sessions with employers. I was really taken by the fact that employers came to the sessions and they just were so open with where they were at, what they had currently had in place for employers with disability, and just the willingness to learn and willingness to be corrected. I think it's so important to recognize that you mightn't have all the answers now, but you can always learn more. And definitely the co-design sessions with young people, I guess I'm just excited to see those people enter the workforce and the change that they're going to make, because some beautiful perspectives in there that really will bring a lot to the world. So, yeah.
Skye speaking. Thank you, Georgia. I'll just wait for our interpreters to be repinned. Thank you. Georgia, your reflection about how the co-design process has opened your eyes to the willingness of young people with disability and employers to work together is really encouraging, and I hope it demonstrates to the broader community just what we'll be able to do working together through this project to really identify and then nurture the leadership of young people with disability, no matter what stage of the career that they're at. Dylan, I'd love to go to you now to ask you this question. What will young people learn about and have access to if they join the Dream Network?
Dylan speaking. Thank you, Skye. I think that there are lots of exciting things that young people will learn from the Dream Network, and I think I can kind of show that by talking a bit about my co-design experience and how empowering it was to have these conversations about not just employment, but for young disabled people, to be in that room with people with the same experience as me, getting to honestly talk about our challenges. And yeah, so all of our events and resources for young people were co-designed with disabled young people, which is amazing. But I think the most valuable thing is, yeah, getting to have those conversations. We've got an event coming up about disclosing your disability in the workplace. And, you know, it's conversations that employers are scared to have and young people are afraid to approach, especially if you've had the same experience with me where you haven't disclosed your disability. There's no one else with a disability that you know of in your where you're employed, and it's quite isolating. So I think that social and professional connection with other young people is so empowering, and I think that in itself is really valuable. But you know, there's a lot to learn, so I'm really excited to start delivering it.
Skye speaking. Thank you, Dylan. Listening to you then, it reminded me of the saying that often people ask themselves, what if it goes wrong? But I think that what you said to me made me think, well, what if it goes right? What if young people and employers have these conversations about access needs, about inclusion, true inclusion in the workplace? They might be scared of getting them wrong, but imagine what would happen if they got it right. So thank you, Dylan. I'd like now to go to Jace, who we've heard from today about the project. This is a question from one of the attendees today, so thank you so much for sending it in. The question is, one of the strengths of this program is in its intersectional lens. Will the Dream Network try to tackle both disability and age discrimination?
Jason speaking. Yeah, it's a great question. So as I mentioned earlier, intersectionality, diversity and intersectionality was one of the topics of the co-design groups that focus purely on the intersectional lens across all of our work and dreams, our resources, our events, and the people involved. And I guess just a bit of a broad definition of intersectionality is, I guess, the different identities, overlapping identities that people have. So that might be people who are disabled and also identify as part of the LGBTQI plus community. So intersectionality can be seen as a strength from an identity lens, but systemically, we know about the discrimination or oppression or marginalisation that can happen to people across different intersectionalities. So this was actually something we tackled quite early on in the co-design groups. And yes, so we know the underemployment rates and the challenges that young people in general, so with and without disability, face in employment, as well as people with disability in general. So there's an intersectional overlap between young people and disabilities. So absolutely, we're keen to tackle that. We know, again, mainly around perceptions and society's attitudes around, I guess, Gen Z. So the people going in the workplace or the workplace of tomorrow. And I guess not all young people would fall in that bracket, but there's a lot out there around, I think it's around society's attitudes and stigmas that we need to change. And a lot of how we plan to do that through Dream is getting people in the same room together. So as I said, it's a systemic change that we need to have. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen over time. But by getting, as some of the co-designers have said, getting young people with disability and employees in the room together and just having open conversations, talking through aspirations, career plans, what they want to learn more about, what current issues are. Employers might be able to solve some of those issues by talking with young people and just having open and honest conversations. That's really what the network is all about, is facilitating that linkage between both young people and employers that doesn't often happen in your typical kind of disability employment services models or other employment models that organisations are working on. The other thing we hear is not knowing where to reach out to so organisations really wanting to employ more people with disability, and this being a target area of theirs internally. So it might be part of their accessibility mission or diversity, equity, inclusion plan. So they've got a strong focus on doing it. They're doing the right things and putting policies in place and practices, but just reaching those young people with disability is a challenge as well across different industries. So we're really keen to, I guess, we have that engaged network. We know how to facilitate safe spaces. We're a trusted organisation with young people with disability. So we want to use that in a practical sense to link up with trusted inclusive employers to bridge those gaps. So yeah, intersectionality will be a big target of this network. So great question, thank you. I'll hand back to you, Skye.
Skye speaking. Thank you, Jace, and thank you again for the question. Jace has really articulately explained how a project like this will work in two ways: by addressing discrimination that can take place in workplaces due to disability, but also due to age. So thank you, Jace. Now, we have heard from our panelists today about their experience with the co-design process, what they hope will be achieved through this project, the sorts of resources and events that members will be able to participate in through joining on. I think now I will move us to a close. You've all been very generous with your time today. So thank you very much again for joining us. And in particular, I would like to thank the Minister who was here earlier and for her team supporting her engagement in the event today. And also the Department for Social Services for their support with this project and organising today. But a huge thanks to our panelists today, the young people and the employers who have come together to share their experience, their expertise and their knowledge to ensure that this program will be a success in terms of the information and resources and events we'll be sharing with you all. So thank you very much. It wouldn't be a launch event if we didn't have a call to action. And so our call to action today is this. If you haven't already, please do sign up to our Dream Employment Network. It's absolutely free, but through the network, you'll receive these resources, invitation to events, and really demonstrate your commitment, if you're an employer, to thinking about how diversity can benefit your workplace and what role you can have in supporting the leadership capability of young people. And if you're a young person, I hope that by watching this event today, you feel confident that the network that we've created is a safe place for you to really learn and explore what disability means in the workplace and how you can go about realising your leadership aspirations while you are in the workforce. When you're on our website, you will see that we have information about our upcoming events. This will be updated, so please do check back in regularly. The first events will be happening this month and next month, so you'll see more information on the website. Also a reminder that Sonia, our Safety and Wellbeing Officer, will remain available for the next hour in case anything that was discussed today made you or somebody that you know who's in the meeting feel unsafe. And please do contact us if you've got some questions that we didn't answer today, or you're curious to learn more about what it means to be a member of the Dream Employment Network. You can contact us by phoning 03 9417 1025 or by emailing youthactionteam@cyda.org.au. So if there's nothing else, I'll just check back in with my very capable team. Have I missed anything? Have I forgotten anything? But if not, thank you. From the bottom of our hearts for joining us today. It means a lot to see the support that you're showing this project, and we're really looking forward to working with you going forward. Have a great day, everyone.